we're talking about the nature of what this show is about today, which we do have a point, and that is the
which
that
is a rare thing.
I know, and it's the nature of, and what we were trying to get at is the nature of the collaboration that happens between food and beverage professionals, how we develop relationships, and how these festivals, in a lot of ways, are the places we meet. Now more than ever, this is where our relationships start. It's where we re-engage with each other. And I just wanted to talk with you because the first time I ever had your food was tasting your chicken liver pate at an SFA event, Southern Foodways Alliance event, in Charleston. And that pate was what I was trying to capture at Holman and Finch with our pate, which was a very French method, not really a Southern method at all, really using shallots and cognac and different types of fat, lots of butter, and creating that beautiful emulsified pate. And so in a sense, you were an example for me of how you inspired, how chefs inspire me. And every event I choose now is about finding those inspirational moments.
There is a point where, you feel as a chef, when you start to get recognition, it's difficult to say no because it's such a new thing to be asked to represent what you do at a festival. So of course you say yes, and then after a while you realize that you're overbooking yourself and you're stressing, and you don't love the work that you're doing because you're just running from festival to festival. But now I think that I've changed my perspective into what can I glean from any particular festival, and it's usually you keep wanting to look at your peers, the ones you respect, and to see how they make their businesses work. And obviously you're looking towards those people because you respect them already. And I think that's the only time you get a little snippet of a window of what those people can do and what they're doing and how they represent themselves. And it really just, and I think the smart person has to, take what they need from that.
Yeah, and what's funny is that a lot of people will think chefs were sitting there talking about recipes, right? Like, hey, this is my parsley soup recipe, and it's not necessarily about food combinations. We're talking about the systems around food, the logistics of how to get it done. Because we all trust that we all have good ideas around food, but it's how do we execute it better? And so a lot of us, it's a chef-owner group. And and this is why our professional cooking is so different than amateur cooking. We're talking about logistics of executing great food, how to develop relationships, how to build a new business, how to write a book that means something to us. And that's something a lot of people don't see.
You ever hear that saying where comedians, don't laugh at each other's jokes? They kind of just say, hey, that was really funny. No, really, that was really good material. That was great.
Yeah, exactly.
I think with chefs, we're like, hey, that's delicious, But you kind of move on,
No, I'm serious.
Nicely done, okay. But no, you're right. I think as we,
Well, I remember something you said about eating at Joel when Joel Antunes was a chef here in Atlanta, and we talked about your impressions of the meal, and you mentioned what was so great about eating there was the simplicity of the food, but there was one taste, one little nuance to each dish that was Joel. And I was inspired by your thoughts of, it wasn't about what was in the dish or anything. It was this idea of how all of his dishes had this one little thing. And that still drives me. How can I have this one element?
Yeah, I think that's the most practical way to approach your personal evolution. Instead of trying to come up with something, pulling these ideas, take something, in my opinion, you take something that's been done before. I can understand this, I can process this, but how do I, in my repertoire, how do I put my signature on it, which is that one extra layer of individuality that you put onto that dish or drink or whatever it is that you do creatively. It's building on the current ideas that make sense, that and as a chef owner, if you take something that people understand and can relate to, then you've already captured the audience. So then how do you let them experience your version or your interpretation of that one thing, like a leeks vinaigrette, or like any number of things that is a delicious concept, right? It's been done before, and you're kind of actually tapping into somebody's. That you're going to draw a certain crowd with a certain dish, but then when you insert it on your menu, not only as a placeholder on the menu, but it serves a purpose as in the terms of leeks vinaigrette as a vegetable-centric first course maybe that you have, or a second use for the leeks that you use to make fumet or whatnot. And at the Ordinary, we just put a quenelle of caviar.
Oh, we know.
On top.
We've
I
eaten
know.
that dish
And
3
all of a
times.
sudden, that becomes a very relevant dish for my restaurant, I
Sure.
think.